Oh, great. So now we're being recorded on our second free live teleconference. So continue to introduce yourselves. I'd love to hear where you're from, and then we'll soon start to begin the teleconference.
Hi
Why
again,
doesn't somebody star six themselves to unmute just to say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Who's this?
Oh, it's Margot from Winnipeg.
Hi, Michelle.
Pleasure of doing the sisterhood talk.
Oh, wonderful. Where are you from?
From Winnipeg.
Oh, beautiful. Welcome. That's great.
Thank you.
Wow, all walks of life. That's wonderful. Fantastic. Anybody else want to say hi?
Hi, this is Moran from Ramat Shemesh.
Hey, Moran, how are you?
Hi,
hopefully I'll see you
I'll
see you, God willing, tomorrow morning too.
Yes,
yes. Okay, Baruch Hashem. That's great. Okay, we'll give another minute or two, and then we'll start. And I'll like I said to everyone before, I'm sorry whoever was on last week, and they had a lot of different distractions on the line. I finally figured out I have to just star 5, and then I can mute everybody out, and nobody has to be bothered with all the dogs barking on the background, whatever else was going on in the back. So, Bezrat Hashem, this time I know how to kind of work the system here. Okay, so anybody want to introduce themselves and tell me where they're from? It's lovely to get to kind of know who's on the line.
Hi, this is Mickey Friedman from Montreal.
Oh, hi, Mickey. Oh, it's such a pleasure to hear your voice.
Hi, it's great to be on the phone
Oh,
call.
fantastic.
I was on last week and enjoyed so much.
Oh, Baruch Hashem, I'm so happy. You know what? It's so special. I have to tell you, that's one of the things that I feel like I lack, because so many of you wonderful women are in Chutz La'aretz. I mean, it's wonderful. I have such a wonderful group of women that we learn together every week, but I see the women, from so far away, and I have such a desire to just come and travel and just give an Emuna hug and then come right back.
Yes, go right back. Emir Tishem, we're going to come to you.
Yeah, well, God willing, very soon. Baruch Hashem, we're going to all dance together. I could already see it in the Ezrat Nashim in the women's section of the Beis Hamikdash. I already have, choice songs playing in my mind, what we're going to dance to.
Excellent. We're looking forward.
Yeah.
It's Margot again. Mickey, hi, it's Margot. How are you?
Hi, Margot.
Wow. Orit, this is a very interesting thing. I used to live in Winnipeg, where Margot is from, and we've been a little bit out of contact for a long time. And here we're meeting on this phone call with you, Yisrael, through Emuna.
Well, Margot Margot was just in on our Emuna sisterhood meeting. She had no clue what she was getting into, and then she joined, and thank God her experience was positive. It's one of the things I want to talk about tonight. It's such a great thing, this Emuna sisterhood meeting that we have once a week, and it's great. You see, we get to really connect. I love it. Technology for Kedusha.
I'm glad to be on with you and everyone else too. But
fantastic.
I really miss you, and I send up my
so nice. Yeah. We're gonna have to be in touch now. Now we know where to find each other.
Well, I can connect the two of you even if you don't have your each email addresses. I have both of yours. So if anybody needs the others, just let me know. I'll be happy to be the Shadchanit here.
So cute. Baruch Hashem.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna mute everyone now. I'm gonna press star 5. I'm the only one that could do that. And then at one point, when I'm going to open up the lines for questions and answers, which I try to do sort of intermediately in between my talking. I don't like to talk too long. Then I'll unmute everyone, and then then you guys can, whoever wants, can start asking questions. So I'm going to put everyone on mute right now. Okay. Okay, so great. So hopefully now we won't have any disturbances. I'm just going to go through some basic announcements in the beginning. And the teleconference, it's the second teleconference that we've been doing. Great, Baruch Hashem. Wonderful response last week. This is actually the last one that I'm going to be doing, unless I, start seeing that women really are interested in and they want this on a weekly basis. You all can write me, and then, we could put together a group and maybe do it on a steady basis. At this point, I just wanted to introduce the concept to everyone as, an opportunity to be able to connect through the phone. I know a lot of women don't have computer access, and so that's why I offered this through the phone so that, whoever is not with a computer at home, they can also learn Emuna and feel that they're up and coming and part of the, technology and ability to be able to connect with women from all around the world, as we're seeing here. So let me start by saying just a couple announcements. So I did want to extend an invitation, and when I say invitation, I really mean a personal invitation to whoever wants to join the Emuna Sisterhood. You're welcome to go on the website, www.dailydoseofemuna.com, and there you will see that there are Emuna series, different type of Emuna series that we're offering. This is something very, very new. The Daily Dose of Emuna posts, all the emails, the Shabbat audios, they continue to all be for free because we want everyone to learn and grow in their Emuna and develop Emuna Geula consciousness and, get prepared, Be'ezrat Hashem, for the Geula, Be'ezrat Hashem, Barachamim. But in the meantime, there are some programs that we're offering to certain other individuals, whoever would like to join in for very, very minimal. We're trying to keep all the costs down so we have as many women join in. And just as sort of like a gift that I want to give to everyone, so we have an Emuna Sisterhood that's actually a growing group that we meet every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Israel time, 11:30 a.m. U.S. time, and whatever it is on other parts of the world. And we meet, and it's basically a video conference that we do online. If you don't have computer access, you can even call in by phone. And we talk personally. Each one is given mamash a real opportunity to air out their frustrations in dealing with certain circumstances in their lives. And it's sort of like Emuna counseling, Emuna coaching personally, but it's in a support group. And what's beautiful about it is that all the women sort of interact with one another. So I certainly encourage you all, even if you want to just give a one-time try, I'm happy to send you an invitation to join us next Sunday or any Sunday. Just keep that in mind. I also wanted to mention that if you'd like to purchase the book called Turnaround, which is, Baruch Hashem, my first book that came out a few months ago, it's called Turnaround. You can look it up on Amazon, and you could purchase it. It's 180 different Emuna lessons that you can learn every day, like a lesson a day by the Chafetz Chaim. You're welcome to find that on Amazon and purchase it, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So that's my introduction for now. So the way we'll do this teleconference is I'll talk about basic Emuna, sort of Emuna 101 for about 20 minutes or so, just to sort of give a good basic background. It'll be different than what we spoke about last week, but a nice background of what Emuna is, what is the whole idea of living a life of Emuna, as it's written, V'atem advekim b'Hashem Elokechem chayim kulchem hayom. We all want to live. Those who are attached to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they are alive and well today. We want to live. We want to get up in the morning. We want to feel alive. Let's talk about that for about 20 minutes. Then I'll open up the lines for questions on that, sort of put a closure to it, and then we'll continue on into the Geula and start learning a little bit about the upcoming Geula, God willing, Barachamim. So let's start off by saying, as I started by the first pasuk that I just quoted, V'atem hadvekim b'Hashem Elokechem, and those of you who cleave to Hashem, your God, you are all alive today. One of the things that mankind desires more than anything in life is to live a life of purpose, to live a life of meaning. And the Torah really does such a phenomenal, with the infinite wisdom of Hashem, does such an amazing job to outline the meaning and the purpose to existence, to make us aware of why we are here. What are our duties? What is the task of life? What are we supposed to be doing? And the first and foremost task that we need to be doing in this world right now is to reveal godliness, to reveal not only the godliness around us in the material coarse world around us, but where is the godliness inside of me? Where is God hiding inside of me? I mean, we all know we have a spark of godliness, but where is this piece of God that I have within me? And the Torah outlines a very practical guide to every single one of us, how we should light up the world and how we should light up Hashem's light. What are we supposed to do? And we need to understand with that comes an awesome responsibility to light up this world with godliness, but also we have to know that everything that we do for the good and for the bitter serves very heavy consequences that affects the destiny of the entire world. So in other words, when I'm in my four corners of my home, in my kitchen, and no one's there, and I'm not really cooking a meal for anyone or doing anything, I'm just thinking about Hashem and just increasing my awareness of the godly presence around me and within me, I am in essence fulfilling the enormous task of increasing Hashem's light in this world. So I don't have to be necessarily around anyone. I could be on my own, under my covers, and give 5 minutes of thought of my purpose in life, why and how I'm connected, and how lucky I am that I'm part of this amazing Jewish nation that's been around for thousands of years against all odds, against all logic and reason. I am part of this amazing, eternal nation called Am Yisrael. And that in itself brings and radiates and illuminates this world with Hashem's light. Now, most of our intervention with this world is by material, is material in nature. So it's not by chance that Hashem, has done this. There are many religions out there that call for a sort of pushing away from the materialism. Don't even get involved with materialism. Just take yourself away from the materialism. And yet Jewish thinking and Jewish teaching is that you're supposed to interact with the world. We're supposed to learn Torah and then apply that which I learned by elevating my core self, my animalistic drives, the animalistic natures of those around me, finding the godliness in them and elevating it. And this essentially is what's called free will. And I know many of us question, what is free will? What is free will all about? Free will essentially is my choice to choose how I respond to the world around me, how to respond to the things that look wonderful, the revealed good around me, the blessings in my life that I interpret and I can understand that are blessings, and also the hidden good. Because essentially, as Rabbi Nachman teaches us at Tzal, is that everything is good. It's either revealed good or it's hidden good, but it's all good. The free will that lies within every single one of us is to choose to see and bring out the good even if it appears to be bitter and difficult and hard and challenging. But we are here to reveal, not to create. It's already there. The goodness is there. The true essence and godliness of everything and everyone is there. Our job is to bring it to the surface, take out the gook, take off the layers of brick and weed and hay, anything that's covering it up, and throw it away and discover the diamond in everything. The diamond inside of me, the diamond inside of that husband of mine who pushes all my buttons and gets me annoyed every moment of the day. I can already see half you smiling on the other line. And the child who pushes that button every moment of my daytime breathing and puts me to the end of my wits. They are perfect for me. They were not given to me in order to annoy me, but because someone just wants to have a really good time looking at me at how I get annoyed. Everything and everyone is perfectly designed specifically to bring out the godliness in me. So let's just take an example. How does such a circumstance of difficulty, when I'm in front of my husband and I'm doing, let's say, I'm giving an example, I'm trying to be a good wife and caring and so on and so forth, and my husband is not validating, and if, in fact, God forbid, maybe even the opposite, he humiliates me, he puts me down, how am I supposed to reveal godliness through such a circumstances? So here we learn through the Hasidic way of teaching, Hasidic thought teaches us that every single one of us has two poles. We have our Yetzer Tov, we have our Yetzer Ra. We have evil inclination, we have good inclination. We have an animalistic drive, and we have a godly drive. The animalistic drive, when I'm upset, I start to take out my hands, and if for those of us who grow nails, get out my claws, and I just want to go, rrr, and I just want to attack. That is my animalistic drive. Yet I have the counterpart of me, that godly drive, that because I know I'm supposed to bring out godly light, I'm supposed to emulate God's ways, walk in the ways of Hashem. What does that mean? It means to be, so to speak, like Him. Just as Hashem is patient and judges me in favor and waits until I do my tshuva and come back and recognize and become more aware of who I am and what I'm supposed to do, so do I. I need to understand that my husband, too, has many, many obstacles and hurdles he has to go through in life. And again, may seem that I'm only talking one way here, but right now I have to be in control of myself. I can't control him, so let me at least control myself. Let me bring out the godliness in me, and by default, once I radiate godliness spiritually, he will have his antennas up, and he will be able to absorb that godliness, and within time, some sooner, some later, be able to also act in a more godly way. So instead of me yelling and screaming and criticizing him, her, whoever, I should be more judging in favor and say, he must be going through a really rough time. He didn't know it. He doesn't know any different. Whatever it is that I need to do in order to encourage myself to bring out the godliness. Now, why am I saying this? Because I want us to understand that the sin of Adam HaRishon, what happened? He essentially went with his animalistic drive. And the Shekhinah, the feminine, the female manifestation of godliness in this world, thus became hidden. And it was, so to speak, removed from creation. Now, it's not really precise that it was removed. It's more to say that there are now hindrances, there are now obstacles that create a certain insensitivity to his presence. So in other words, at this point, I have to create as much as possible through my own toil, through my own work, which is one of the, so to speak, curses that Adam HaRishon was given, is through the sweat of your brow. You will have to toil. Toil to what? Toil to reveal and connect to me. And so in essence, that is why we're giving all these challenges. That's the deeper meaning behind why I have so many challenges. It's there so that when I find myself in a place of, so to speak, weakness or difficulty, I'm able to now lift my eyes up and remember who it was that created me and put me in that situation. And God willing, the idea at that point is to put me in a position so that I lift my eyes up and I'm able to transcend my situation and look for the divine purpose in the difficulty. Because in essence, that is what the Torah gives us. The Torah gives us 613 pieces of good advice. That's what Chazal, our holy sages, tell us. 613 mitzvahs are essentially 613 channels and ways to be able to connect and elevate ourselves into becoming more spiritual beings, and we're able to transcend what we see on the surface and go above and beyond and look deeper, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 6-dimensional, to be able to look at the picture and say, what's going on here? What am I supposed to take out of this? And that's essentially my relationship with Hashem. All of my life, I'm in this illusion of separateness, all these confusing details, all these barriers, and my job, everyone's job, is even in the hiddenness, which I understand is part and parcel of Hashem's creation, Hashem's plan in creation, is the hiddenness. And I'm supposed to remove barrier by barrier, curtain by curtain. I don't see the complete picture. I only see bits and pieces. My job is to discover Hashem through the circumstances of my life, of our life, of the whole entire life. When I look at the news, it's supposed to be, Hashem, what are you trying to tell me personally and the Jewish nation at large? Because everything is connected to Am Yisrael. Everything has a much bigger purpose, which brings me to the last point that I just want to talk about, which I think is very, very important, because unfortunately in our day and age, there is such a lack of being in a state of happiness. And what my inner yearning, what my desire is for every one of us, everyone in the Jewish world, everyone at large, everyone, all of creation, is through default, as a direct outcome of living a life of Emuna, to recognize a higher purpose. And what these sages teach us is that happiness equals purpose. If there is a sense of genuine purpose, and let me just give you an example. What do I mean purpose? One day I was walking down the street, and I met someone, and I didn't even realize that they were going through maybe a difficulty with shlom bayit, with marital peace or whatever, and I gave them a piece of advice. And 10 years down the line, at one point, I find out that piece of advice actually saved their marriage and actually had such a profound positive impact. That's a moment of such refined glory and godliness. And essentially, every single one of us does this every day. We don't see it because Hashem doesn't always allow us the privilege to know what's being attributed to all this avoda, all this work and toil that we're doing. We don't see the outcome. But that's where Emuna comes in. Emuna means living a life of higher awareness. I'm aware that there's an eye that sees, an ear that hears, a heart that feels. There's a higher supreme authority that's aware of everything that I'm doing. Every small motion makes a difference in the world, serves a higher purpose. Every yearn, every cry, every moment I smile when I hear someone else's, simcha is coming around. Everything that I do, everything is written, as the Pirkei Avos, teaches us. Everything's written in the book of Hashem. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a purpose, and I'm part of that. And so, to end off this part, and there's so much more that can be said. I can go on and on and on. Let's just understand and take home tonight. We were all created for a higher purpose. And all we do every moment of our lives is to seek and search out to achieve more. I want to make a more significant contribution. I want to change the world. I want to live my life in godliness with a purpose. And even though I may not be able to pay the mortgage, or I'm having issues with my spouse and children, God forbid, or I can't find my soulmate, I understand life. I understand there's a meaning, and I'm part of that meaning. And every moment of acceptance that I accept my circumstances, I'm essentially connecting myself to a purpose, connecting myself to part of that amazing godly scheme, the entire reason why this world is in existence, every moment that I see my purpose in even that which I'm going through. So I'm going to open up the lines. I'll allow a couple of questions, and then we'll move right along. Actually, before I unmute the lines, let me just also mention a couple more things, that I have to mention. Another thing I wanted to let everyone know about is that there are pre-recorded shiurim that were previously available on Torah Anytime and on YouTube. And now what we've done is we've asked for a very, very minimal amount of membership. from women. We're asking $9 a month to be part of what's called the Grow Each Month Emuna series membership, so that you can view all these pre-recorded Emuna and Geula Shurim that go according to the Parsha. So you can also find that through the website and join in, and please God, also be part of that Emuna series. Last but not least, I want to mention again what I mentioned last week is the WhatsApp groups. I didn't actually create one of these groups. It's a Tehillim WhatsApp group, whereas if you can send me through email, my email is orit@gmail.com. You can send me your WhatsApp number. I can sign you up to this Tehillim WhatsApp group who someone else actually had created, and it's a group where all of these people are reading Tehillim throughout the day for Klal Yisrael, also for the Refuah and Yeshua of certain people. You can always put in names, and we can daven for them as well. What's nice about it is that you're not committed to anything on a daily basis. When you have the time, you click in that you want to read the next, parak of Tehillim as they read through the books. And it's a wonderful way to just grab a parak of Tehillim along the way, where we have 4 groups already. There are hundreds of women that joined, and I think it's a very, very worthwhile usage of WhatsApp. So please write me or readwriter@gmail.com to let me know you want to join. And the second group that I did create is a group called Got Emuna Questions, and it's exactly that. It's a WhatsApp group where people, women are writing in their struggles, their, Emuna struggles and frustrations or questions that they need clarity on. And you could just type it in, and then at one point either someone else answers, but mostly I answer. And it's a great way to get clarification on a moment's notice when you're stuck in a problem. So I'm going to unmute the lines, and I'd love to hear from you all. So feel free. So anybody want to ask me a question? Anybody have a comment? *6. You can *6 yourself and unmute. Have a quiet group today? Nobody wants to ask? Anybody? Anybody out there? No? Or maybe nobody could talk? Somebody tried it? Anybody now? Okay, I think now I unmuted you guys. I don't think I did it first. Anybody? Anybody want to ask a question on Emuna? Anybody have something in particular they have been struggling with or have a comment on what I just said?
Hi, Orit. It's Tzipora Harris.
Hi, Tzipora. How are you? Such a great way of connecting. I love this.
I know. Wonderful. Beautiful. I love everything that you shared from the bottom of your heart. It's so mechazek. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you. Well, I listen to your shirim, and I love them, and you're very inspirational to me, too. So we rub off of each other. Every single woman here and everyone in Klal Yisrael, we all rub off of one another. We're all a mirror, and we reflect each other's goodness. I truly and honestly believe that.
Yes, and we cannot do this alone. I really see that so clearly.
Absolutely. So Baruch Hashem, thank you, Hashem, for giving us the ability of having this technology and be able to use it for such beautiful, beautiful purposes, really. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. You want to bring some clarity into you're the clarity woman, so you want to bring some clarity in Emuna and what we spoke about? Tell me something.
I'll tell you one thing that I found that was so moving to me. And there's a woman that shared, I'm not going to say her name because I didn't ask permission to share her story, but she shared that many years ago, before she became frum, she ended up at a big party in Los Angeles, and it was very noisy, and all of a sudden, Madonna walked in.
What?
No, somebody's talking on the background, so if you could just...
Yeah, they can unmute themselves by doing *6.
Yeah, *6, just because we want to keep the lines open just for this part. Yes. Okay, so she saw Madonna there?
Anyways, the door opened, Madonna walked in, and everything stopped. You could hear a pin drop.
Whoa.
And when I heard that story, what came to me, she had a whole spiritual journey because of that night, but what came to me was, can you imagine if we knew
that when we wake up in the morning and we say Moda'ani, in Shemayim, everything stops, because the beautiful, beautiful daughter of Hashem just did a mitzvah. And that if we knew the power of our mitzvahs and how beloved they are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we would hold ourselves differently.
Oh, that was so beautiful. That is such an important point, and I'm so, so happy that you brought that up. How true that is. That if there's anything that I feel that I want to, like, shake everyone up, all of us, we should all be shocked, is that we are so special. And Hashem does, in fact, stop everything when we decide to call out his name. That's so true. Thank you so much for bringing that. And like you said, here we are when this happens, when a movie star or superstar walks through the door. Imagine, like you said, that's there to teach us what really goes on. That's a reflection of what goes on. That's how we should relate to it.
And I feel you are a princess of Hashem, and what you're doing for Klal Yisrael is so beautiful. Hashem should bless you with everything you truly need to be matzliach in your mission.
All of Am Yisrael. Lecha Hashem Geula v'Tiferet v'Netzach v'Hod. Everything is from Hashem, and it's just beautiful. I love everyone. Anybody want to ask a question?
Hi, can I ask a question?
Please.
What do you say to the woman who's been searching for years for her soulmate and is watching her biological time clock count down?
It is not. It's not an easy answer to someone like that, as with any of the struggles that are very heavily weighing on everyone's hearts, each and their own, wherever they are. I could tell you this. It's not something that I can't come up with a logical explanation or reason. I'm sure that's not also why you're asking. So I think first thing what we need to understand is that there is no, in fact, as Chazal says, the most difficult thing to say to ourselves, to ask ourselves, or to utter out loud when we're challenged with a difficult situation, or when we're in front of someone who has a difficult situation, is to ask the question, why? In fact, if you take the word why and you have it in Hebrew, it's lama, lamed mem he, lama. And the sages actually teach us, instead of saying lama, why, we should take the accent off of the mem and put it on the lamed, and it turns into a totally different sentence or expression, and it says lema, for what? There's a very big difference between saying why is this happening to me, or saying for what is the purpose in it. So the minute, first of all, we already change that and we understand that there really isn't an answer to the why, but there is a direction and a guide to the expression for what. Because for what automatically puts us in a position where we're saying there is a reason why I'm going through this. So let me start. That's the first step. So the first step is to not put ourselves in a position where we're asking something that really will never, first of all, we'll never get an answer. And even if we do get an answer, it won't be to our satisfaction. So not to put ourselves in that position. Second of all, it's to really say, for what purpose? So the number one purpose that we would understand on a logical perspective would mean that obviously for some reason, somehow, some way, it's better for that particular person at this point. Now, when I say at this point, again, I'm going to go back on what I said last week. Emuna means accepting today but praying for a better tomorrow. So when I say that right now it's better for me, let's say, to not be married, it means that right now at 9:30 at night Israel time, 2:30 in the afternoon U.S. time, it's better for me not to be married, or it's better for me not to have money, or it's better for me to have these issues. For some reason, this is good for me. I wouldn't say it's better for me. Let me change it. It's good for me. Somehow it serves a good ultimate purpose for me not to have that which I so badly yearn to have. That doesn't mean that tomorrow or in a moment from now things shouldn't change and I shouldn't beg for it to change. But for some reason, Hashem in His infinite wisdom feels that I can better serve Him and I could better fulfill my perfection of my soul and rectify the ongoing world and existence from the place of being single, poor, and, in difficulty not seeing on the same page with my husband at this point, or whatever it is. So that's, first of all, very, very important. And I said it in a sentence, but it's a lifetime worth of work, because essentially all of life is about, what did I say, happiness. How can I be happy in a situation if I know someone who's in, like you said, in their older years and they're not married? How can I find happiness? It's to find purpose also in this. Even though I'm not married, even though I yearn to be so much married, I still am serving a great purpose in this world. For however way I need to do it, that's up to me. That I have to still find out and discover for myself. Some have already done that. Some haven't. You want to respond to that?
Thank you.
Much better.
Okay. Would anybody else like to ask any other questions, or should we continue with the Geula part? Anybody want to ask anything more? No? Okay. So I'm going to mute the lines again, and now we're going to get into Geula, and then I'll open up the lines again at the end to ask more questions. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the idea of the 4 galuyot, the 4 exiles that essentially Am Yisrael have to go through in order to reach that final place, God willing, of Geula Shlema, which Bezrat Hashem will happen very, very soon today. First of all, let's understand that the word Gog uMagog, okay, the numerical value of Gog uMagog is 70, which means that essentially, let me just make one thing from the forefront. I know everyone hears the word Gog uMagog, and we're all sort of shuddering in our seats. Let's understand that the idea of Gog uMagog is a war of Hashem against the 70 nations of the world. In no way, shape, or form are we meant to be part of that massive war. Whatever that means, what kind of a war it means, whatever it may be, we, Am Yisrael, are not supposed to be directly affected by it because of the fact that it is a war that Hashem will profess and fight and battle against the 70 nations of the world who have prosecuted and oppressed Am Yisrael for the longest length of our exile. So I just want us to understand all these exiles, the 4 exiles, the Babylonian, the Midian, the Greek, and the Roman, every exile had and served its purpose, but there's still a divine a vengeance that needs to be settled with these nations, with the evil and wicked leaders of the world, to bring about the divine retribution of all of the oppression, the excess oppression and difficulties, pogroms, and so on and so forth that unfortunately Am Yisrael has had to experience. Every exile essentially was limited. Interestingly enough, actually in Parashat Vayetze, Yaakov, what happens? Yaakov sees the angels going up and down, up and down. Hashem actually shows Yaakov the 70 rungs of the ladder as he's having this dream. And he sees the ministers going up and coming down. And eventually, the minister of Edom actually goes up. But Yaakov Avinu sees in his dream that the minister of Edom doesn't come down. All of and this is of great significance because essentially all of the exiles were limited, right? But the Galut of Edom is actually compared in Sefer Bereshis. It's written that Panei Tehom. In other words, the idea of Tehom, of a deep down pit, an endless, bottomless pit, a deep surface, is the Galut that we're in called Galut Edom, Galut Romi, the Roman exile. And essentially, who is Rome? Who are Rome? Rome is every nation that embraces Christianity. how do the Yishmaelim come into this picture? What does this have to all do with the idea of this, the minister of Edom going up and not coming down? Yaakov Avinu was very, very frightened when he saw that Edom went up and he never came down, and he essentially expressed this fear to Hashem. And Hashem said to him, "Don't worry, because it's I who will personally take him down." And actually in Chazon Ovadia, it's written that essentially what Hashem is doing is he's lifting up on high this nation called Edom, and it is him that will essentially, Hashem, with him, so to speak, him himself, will bring them down as well. So Edom is essentially all of the nations of the world that embrace the religion of Christianity, which is a very big part, of course, of the world. And right now, as we see, Malchut Edom, those nations are very, very high. They're very, very high, and unfortunately what's going to happen is as high as they are, so too will be the depth of their downfall as well. Where do the Yishmaelim play into this whole, the whole idea of this exile? So essentially, Galut Edom is actually divided into 3 different exiles. It's divided into Galut Edom itself, which Galut Edom, the Roman exile that we're currently in, if you take the letters Edom, Aleph, Daled, Vav, Mem, if you switch them around, it spells Moda, fashion, the latest mode, the latest fashion, the latest in, what's in now, what's the latest expression that we should be saying, what's the latest fashion we should be wearing, what's the latest iPod, model out on the streets. That is essentially one of the ways that this exile is expressing itself in the Jewish world. We're very much influenced and impacted by the ways of the Western world, and essentially we don't even realize how far deep we are affected and influenced by their way of thinking, their way of living, and so on, their way of relating to the world. And so this is one part of the exile that we're in. The other part of the exile is where Yishmael, the Arab nations, actually come in. The Arab nations, the Galut Yishmael, is the second part of Galut Edom. How does Yishmael come into contact with Christianity? It's because at one point Esav, the father, so to speak, of the Roman nation, married into the children of Yishmael, the children of Avraham Avinu, and somehow the very deep sources, the two of them got mixed up. And so part of our exile of Rome is also part of the exile of Yishmael. Yishmael, how does that exile come to express itself in what we're experiencing now in our exile? It comes to express itself in terms of our pahad, our fear, the fear of physical terrorism of who are the Yishmaelim? They are Pere Adam. They're animals. They have no heart. They have passionate, fiery. In fact, the mystical teachings come down and teach us that they're malech chesed. Would you believe it? They are profoundly on the extreme of the side of chesed, of kindness. What does that mean? Their kindness, so to speak, means that they run after, in their fiery, passionate desire to be kind to their God, they go and believe and do based on their Quran or their teachings or their fanatic false teachings, that in the kindness to being able to serve, so to speak, their God and doing the will of their prophet, they are on a vengeance, so to speak, on a mission to kill those that are going against their religion. So it's a fanatic. It's an extreme expression of doing the kindness, so to speak, abiding and being loyal, so to speak, without having that gevura, without having that restraint that's so badly needed to be able to know how to temper, so to speak, when you're going after what you believe in your mind to be the right thing. So essentially, our galut is not just one that we're seeing of which we don't see today. We don't really see that we're being, so to speak. I mean, lately it's been coming out, the oppression of being fearful to walk around, for instance, in France. I know that there's been a couple of instances in England and so on and so forth. Even in America, I know there's been some stuff going on. Of course, here in Israel, we see it's very prominent where we are feeling more tension over our Jewish identity. But up until, that's only been recently, up until now, we have enjoyed, so to speak, Jewish freedom and being able to practice our religion. But at this point in time, we have to understand that one of the reasons why Hashem is, so to speak, now opening up the jar of worms, opening up what's actually been brewing and happening underneath the surface. What has been happening until now? Up until now, the nations have not been permitted to, so to speak, let themselves express themselves freely, because Hashem has been trying as much as possible to give us free will so that we ourselves will be able to discover the Jewish identity. We will be able to be proud of who we are, what we stand for, and not be swayed by the ways of the world. But unfortunately, because we've been taken astray, because we've been unfortunately interpreting the current reality in a way that hasn't been correct, so Hashem has now put a little bit more pressure, a lot more pressure on us, so that we be able to understand that we are on a different mission. They have their mission, we have our mission, and we are meant to adapt ourselves and live our lives only to the mission that the Jewish people were here in the world to do, and that is, which we said before in the first part, is to discover our godliness, to be able to reveal the godliness in us and those around us. To display godliness means that when I walk into work, I am loyal and I am 100% abiding to the Torah instruction and manual of life, which means I need to act in a godly way. If it means modesty, if it means honesty, if it means speaking with a clean mouth, if it means acting in a humble, sort of way, not with this all-powerful and in-your-face kind of manner, all of that is an expression of godliness. Essentially, that is what Hashem wants us to do, and that is something that He's pressuring us, so to speak, to do as well. Now, by the time the year 6000 comes, the form of existence that we currently know will cease to exist. All the prophets have already prophesied this time period, that up until Yemot HaMashiach, there are many hints, by the way, but no one really knows for sure what's going to happen, because as Chazal teach us, no eye has really seen, and those who know do not say, and those who say do not know. And so essentially we're not supposed to really get very heavily involved in it, but we need to know only for one reason. One of the reasons why we want to know what is going to happen in the redemptive process is so that we can prepare ourselves right now. In other words, the transition is going to be so great. When I say the existence that we live in right now is going to cease to exist, it's going to cease to exist. To who? Okay. So those of us who have prepared ourselves, who have been slowly weaning ourselves off of the materialistic reality that we currently know of and are very much attached to, it's going to be a very drastic and stark reality check for those of us who are in that existence. For those of us who hopefully we're all trying in our own way to develop Geula consciousness, live a life of Emuna, see ourselves as spiritual, godly beings, then the change into Yemot Mashiach will be less drastic. Because it's just like, think about it on this level. It's like being on a bus. Okay, we're all on the Geula bus. Now, some of us are sleeping on the bus. Some of us are listening to our MP3s, listening to music, looking out at the view, sort of very, very oblivious to what's going on. We don't even see that our stop is coming up. We're just totally involved in the bus ride. In other words, the analogy, being involved in our world, in where we are right now. For those of us who are in that state, when the bus stop finally comes, we're going to quickly run and get our stuff and make sure we didn't forget any bags on the bus and jump off the bus at the last minute. But for those of us who are on this bus, recognizing that we're here just to get to our destination, we're paying attention. Oh, okay, now we've stopped by this bus stop, and now our bus stop is now 3 bus stops away, and we're slowly preparing ourselves so that when it's time for us to get off the bus, we've already gathered our belongings, so to speak. We've already prepared ourselves to that transition of getting off the bus and entering into a different place. That's essentially why these teleconferences, why learning Emuna and Geula is so important, so that transition won't be in such a hurry, in such a frantic way, but it'll be like, okay, I've been preparing myself for this, so now I can enter into this new existence. And so essentially, if that is what we're doing right now, then we're going to look at what happened to us now in our current state, and we're going to be able to interpret that reality as though it was a dream. A dream is something that we understand is part of life. It's part of the development and the way of living life, but it's not really real. That is essentially the reality that we're living in right now is going to appear to those of us who are preparing ourselves for Geula. It's going to appear to us as a dream. On one hand, we're not going to recognize it at all. We're going to even have sort of scattering memories over it. We're not going to remember all the details of it. But on the other hand, it's going to appear to be part of our reality and significant almost to part of our reality, but it's going to seem like something that's far distant. And so that's essentially, in fact, as Rabbi here, Zatzal says, that essentially that's what dreams are made for. Dreams are made to make us understand that essentially there are lines of consciousness that are blurred and even non-existent, but we're meant to interpret it as a dream so that we can better understand and reveal to ourselves that one day there's going to be an actual reality that's going to have that same relationship of dream versus reality, so to speak. And so essentially that is what our neshamas are getting used to. And if you look at life right now, you'll see that many, many of us are simply not content with our lives. We may even have all the essential material gadgets that we need. We may even have so many of the other things that we, are part and parcel of a person's life. We have our husband and our children and so on and so forth. We have everything that we need, but essentially we're still not happy. And one of the reasons Chazal teach us why this is happening is if you look at the time frame of where we are right now, we've essentially passed the 5th hour of Erev Shabbat in terms of the cosmic time clock. So what happens after that 5th hour on Erev Shabbat? We've essentially ceased to work. We're not working with chol anymore. We're not working with mundane. We're essentially entering a time of hachana lekodesh. We're preparing ourselves for holiness. We're preparing ourselves for Shabbos Kodesh, which is where we're going into after the 6,000th year. So our neshamas are tuned into this time. We are, in terms of our neshamas, in terms of our souls, we are tuned into Shabbat right now. And that's why a lot of us don't feel content with anything materialistic. In fact, there's so many of us understand that materialism can't buy happiness. Because what happens on Shabbos? Shabbat v'yinafash. On Shabbos, we get a new nefesh. What does that mean in Shemayim? It means that in Shemayim, they're giving us new levels of our neshama right now as we enter into Geula that essentially is preparing us. Hashem is pouring us down tremendous amount, buckets full of siyata d'shmaya, of divine light, which we need right now, and we need to grasp as much as we can, as much as possible, so that we can actually change our hearts and enter and acknowledge and recognize that we're going into Shabbos. Because essentially that's all Hashem wants to do. He wants to give us good. He wants us to live in a olam, what do we say on Shabbat? Olam shekulo Shabbat. A world which is essentially all good, a high voltage of Kedusha, which right now we're not ready to absorb. Otherwise, try to put a little light bulb into a high voltage outlet. What's going to happen? It's going to burn. So I need to now, and every single one of us, we need to align ourselves to receive only good, get connected to the spiritual channel, and cut the obstructions out, all the coarse materialism as much as possible. Still use it, but to use it as a way to be able to elevate ourselves. And by doing so, we'll be able to align ourselves more into the spiritual reason of why we're here and connect ourselves so that when the light of Mashiach comes, the light of Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David comes, and we see all the things that are going to be going around, Bezrat Hashem, like I said, Gog and Magog is going to happen to those who are wicked and who have been evil to us and have tried to oppress us and ruin our spirit and crush our spirit all along, getting us to think that Hashem, God forbid, has forsaken us when He never did. And He never will, because that's a promise in the Torah. There's no clause, there's no expiration date to that promise. Hashem is with us till the end. Imo Anochi B'Tzara means Hashem is with us right now. Every time we cry, every time we're in sorrow, every time we feel alone, we need to invite Hashem in, close our eyes, sway back and forth, hug ourselves and say, Hashem, I know I'm not alone. There's no way that I'm alone. You promised me. You said you'll never leave me, and I know you'll never leave me. And just hug ourselves and go within ourselves. Why does a person close their eyes when they're in sorrow? It's because they realize that the outside is all a sheker. And so we close our eyes in the hope to reveal the truthfulness of our inside, of our neshama, to know that there's something deeper hidden that's going on here. It's not what I see. I refuse to believe that which I see. There's something bigger and greater going on here, and that essentially is the transition into Geula consciousness. It's to look inside. It's to develop 6D vision and know that there's a lot more going on underneath the surface. So with that, I'm going to open up the lines. Once again, I encourage everyone to visit the website, dailydoseofemuna.com, and to sign on to the daily posts and Shabbat audios that are free, to sign on to the WhatsApp groups by sending me Orit Riter at gmail.com, and to sign on also to all of the Emuna Sisterhood series and the pre-recorded shiurim. And I'm going to open up the lines, and please feel free to ask any questions. Okay, I've opened up the lines. Feel free to ask any questions. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if this was able to help anybody on the line. Anybody want to say something?
Hi, this is Yael.
Hi, Yael.
Hi, how are you? I got into thank you so much. I got in halfway, but I loved what I heard right now. I have a question from last week's share. You said... Hello?
Everyone else can star 6 themselves just so I can hear Yael. Yes, go ahead.
So last week you mentioned about when Mashiach comes, and that, because I heard that when Mashiach comes we will no longer have a Yetzer Hara, and you mentioned that we will still have choice. So I just want to know...
So the Zohar HaKadosh teaches us that when Mashiach ben Yosef comes, we will still have free will. In fact, as you look at Tehillim, Perek Bet, if I can get my Tehillim open on time, I'm going to read you the pasuk that actually talks about Gog and Magog and the idea of Mashiach. It says, the first pasuk in Tehillim Bet, Lama ragshu goyim uleumim yehegu rik yitzvu malchei eretz veroznim nozdu yachad al Adonai va'al Mashiach. What does that mean? It means, why are all the goyim, meaning all the Gentile nations, why are they going to feel empty? What are they going to do? What are the malachim? What are they going to do? They're going to go against Hashem and Mashiach. So what that means essentially is, and Chazal teaches, the Zohar HaKadosh actually brings down that it's not only the goyim that are going to go against, so to speak, Mashiach, but it's also going to be many of the Jewish people, unfortunately. The Erev Rav, unfortunately, there are many Jews that are self-hating Jews and such. They're going to go against Mashiach. Free will still be intact through Mashiach, through Binyan Bet HaMikdash, through Kibbutz Galuyot. Only at the last stop and end of Yemot Mashiach, which is Tchiyat HaMeitim, the resurrection of the dead, that is essentially when free will be stripped away. So we will, to some degree, it's sort of like a very slow transition.
Right.
Obviously, when you see Mashiach, for many, the free will is going to be stripped away once you see Mashiach. For others, it'll mean when they see the Beit HaMikdash. For others, it'll mean when they see that all the Jews are coming to Israel. But essentially, it's going to get less and less. Now is really the time where the free will is all, out.
But there will be no Yetzer Hara. That's what my question was. There'll be no more Yetzer Hara, right?
Right. Well, when we say free will, it means that there's no more Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara essentially is going to be slaughtered in front of the entire world once it's called the Bayom Din HaGadol VaNorah, when there's essentially the world is going to undergo a total judgment where all the wicked, the Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar, Titus, all of the Rashaim, they're all going to be brought up from the dead, and Hashem is going to judge them in front of the entire world. And at that same point, he's going to slaughter the Yetzer Hara.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Anybody else like to ask any questions? I can't promise I can answer everything. I could certainly try. Anybody has a Geula question, an Emuna question? No? We're okay? We're done for tonight? Last call? Nobody want to ask questions? Everyone's embarrassed today. Okay. So tonight, essentially, is going to be the last teleconference until, if you'd like to have more of these teleconferences, feel free to write me or Riter@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to continue it on if anyone would like to continue it. In the meantime, like I said, I'd love to be in touch with you all through email, WhatsApp, or Facebook. The website, there's plenty of avenues, and looking forward to dancing with everyone in the Beit HaMikdash. B'me'avi Amenu, B'rachamim, Amen. Have a great night, everyone. Shavua Tov.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night.